Shalom Lekulam. Welcome to our second lesson for Intermediate Kabbalah. We are going to cover some of the concepts that we explained on our first lesson for Intermediate. And it's just for you to connect the dots between what we learned on the first lesson and what we're going to be learning on this lesson. So we're just going to go over the things that we learned in the first lesson quickly, and then we're going to enter into what we're going to study in this second lesson. So in the first lesson we covered the concept of there's no one else besides him. Basically, is keep in mind that it doesn't matter what we study in Kabbalah. It doesn't matter how we divide these different systems in creation and the system of correction and all that. Everything is done by the Creator. Everything is one. Ein od milvado, which means there's none else besides him. There's no other deity. There's basically one light. Everything is a light. Everything is a Creator. There's a lot of things that happen in our life. There's a lot of religions and belief system based on parts of this system that we call the Creator. In Kabbalah, we don't worship those systems or those parts of the big system. We study the whole, and the whole for us is one. You're gonna find that in science also. There's this concept of trying to find the unity on everything, the theory of the oneness of the whole creation and unity on everything. And in Kabbalah, we already have that, in the sense that we already know that everything is one. Science just need to what they want is basically to prove it somehow in mathematical and scientific ways of observing the universe. In Kabbalah, we don't observe. We are raising our consciousness to understand, and we see that everything is one, that everything is somehow connected, that there's a cause, there's an effect, and that effect becomes a cause of that creates another effect. So there's a chain of reaction on everything, so somehow everything is connected. So make sure that as you study Kabbalah, that you understand that there's nothing else, only the Creator. Only the Creator. There's no other being or anything like that. These myths and that being created after certain I would say forces in creation, in which the belief system make people believe themselves that these forces are against the Creator. It's all basically nonsense. If there's no one else besides him, how he can create something that will be against him? And that doesn't show that he's a perfect Creator. That doesn't show, that creation is not even perfect. So these evil things, these bad things, these things that we see against the Creator, or even or against our will to achieve or attain spirituality, were put in there by the Creator himself. So it just our perception, or human perception of having basically to divide everything into good and bad, thus the eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, is what makes us see, that there are forces that oppose him, and there are forces that we need to worship and revere and all that, when in reality it's not about that. It's about loving human beings, loving each other, and as we love ourselves, becoming one, and in that way we manifest what the Creator is all about, which is oneness. And the Creator, what he wants to do, and we say he is in order to identify as something, but that's another thing the Kabbalists can tell you, that they Creator is not a he or she. We just say he because we adopt the masculine way of describing the force, but because he's a giver. But other than that, we don't know if he's he or she. Okay, it's just a force, a creative force, the creator. So the thing is, in Kabbalah, we don't worship those parts of the whole. We don't even worship the whole. We want to become one with the whole, and the only way we can become one with the whole is by loving other human beings as ourselves, and understanding that the Creator put these opposing forces in our way in order for us to understand that we need to unite as one, become once again this collective soul called Adam Harishon, and in this way achieve oneness, and that oneness will give us adhesion, the Vekut, with the Creator. Okay, so let's continue with we also cover the three-step concept here, and just want you to know this is not how creation actually works. It's just a way for you to understand. First, the Creator creates everything, the whole stage. Then he puts in the stage, the players, the people, the characters, and then the whole drama on stage 2 is gonna take place. And the whole thing is, the goal at the end is to make the soul make the soul achieve its great potential, which is similarity with the Creator, be similar to the Creator. So if we take the metaphor of a stage, in which here's the stage with all the things that the theater have to offer in order to make this play really good. Then the director, which is the Creator, puts the player, the characters in that play, and there you have a drama or comedy, whatever you want to have in that theater play. And at the end, these people are gonna learn how to become like the director, like the Creator, and achieve their potential in a way that they will understand what the director, what the Creator wants us to do in this stage, in this drama that we're living. Once we do that, we do it for the purpose of pleasing this director or Creator of the play that we're playing, and our character will be more satisfying in the sense that we're having pleasure in playing our role in this play, and we will be giving pleasure to the director of the play, because he doesn't have to fight us into playing our own character. We are doing it out of love for him, out of for his sake, basically. Then we cover the development of the desire of the vessel, or the vessel, in which we touch based on identifying the light as the abundance or life, and the kli, which is the desire to receive, or the body that receive that light. And we talk about the Atzmuto, which is the secrets of Torah. We don't know anything about it, we just call it Atzmuto, the essence. And Shoresh, which is the root of everything, it's the light, pure light. It's not even a vessel, it's just light, and that belongs to Keter. It's pure desire to give. Then we have a vessel, and that vessel is desire to receive, but is dependent on the Creator. We also mentioned that the Creator here, we call Creator this, but eventually we're going to call Creator this, because all this is one. Okay, so keep in mind that everything is one. Then after we have this stage in which is just dependent desire to receive, we have a desire to give without receiving, and that is that we want to be like the Behina, or the level of Shorech. We want to become a giver as well. So we want to give back to the Creator, to the giver. And then we find ourselves that in order to give back, we need to receive something to give back, and that is the level of desire to receive in order to give. And we mentioned that that's the level of a parsuf called serampin, and in there's 6 spheres or sephirot, 6 systems that we call the 6,000 years of correction. Later, what we have is that this desire develops into another desire which is independent. This is where a soul is born, basically a creature. It's born. The creature's independent desire to receive. And as you see here, it was dependent. It was basically the creator make the decision on the vessel. The vessel decides not to receive, but it decides, if I don't receive, I died. Remember, light. If the vessel has no light, it's death. It's considered death. So it doesn't want to die. It wants to live. And in order to live, it receives and gives. But then here, it wants everything. It wants everything. The pleasure from the creator and the pleasure for itself. And something happened in there that this vessel start, what in Kabbalah we call feeling shame for wanting, not only the desire of the creator, but also the desire to fulfill itself. And we talk about the person that was invited into a dinner, how this person, was given food, and the person basically have a choice to just eat the food because the person that made the food say eat it, and the person also has the choice of I don't want to eat it, but the person say, but you gotta eat it, and the person goes like, I don't want to eat it, which is this part over here, because in that way, I know you make the effort, but I don't want to eat it. I don't want to, feel guilty that I'm eating your food without giving you anything in exchange. But then he realizes, I'm hungry, I need to fulfill, myself. So he start then receiving a little in order to please the giver, to please the person that is basically doing the cooking and giving that food. So, but then something happened. The person goes like, this food is more good than I thought, so I want the food. I want to fulfill myself. I want to fulfill my desire. And also I want the feeling of fulfillment like the giver. So the person basically becomes a egoistic, 100% egoistic desire at that point. And something happened that then the vessel looks, like I said, in the previous lesson, looks at the giver and say, oops, what have done, now, even though because I wanted to basically just feed myself, I didn't care about the effort that person made, I didn't even say thank you to this person, I feel shame. And now I need to perform something called teshuvah, which is repentance. And this repentance has an internal work that needs to be done. And that internal work that the vessel needs to do, it comes in different levels and different stages of interaction with the food, in this case the light. And the first interaction that happened is called the Tzimtzum Aleph, which is basically a restriction. So the person that is eating the food now restricts themselves or himself, and he says, I'm not gonna eat, and if I eat, it's gonna be only to please the giver, the person that is giving me the food. I'm not gonna do it even though I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a portion of this food just to please the giver. So instead of wanting all these 5 portions of food at the same time, the person start eating one portion at a time and one portion at a time, in this way to build back again that relationship with the giver. Okay, so this is what's happening right now with the light and the vessel. So the vessel did a tzimtzum, a restriction, and that restriction, according to the Kabbalists, the light basically is described as being round and simple, but then in the very middle it created a tzimtzum. which is a restriction, a little point in the middle, and then there's the Kaf, the light that is gonna fill that void that comes in, and that's because in Tzimtzum Aleph, which is the first restriction, which is basically is giving you a hint that there's also another restriction in the future. The Tzimtzum Aleph basically creates a masach, a screen, and that screen is going to let percentage of light inside, and it's gonna reflect another percentage of the light. Okay, and this is what now we are gonna know as Ein Sof. So Ein Sof, the word of Ein Sof. Okay, so Tzimtzum Aleph is basically when Ein Sof became restricted in order to emanate all the other emanation, the Netzalim, everything that was supposed to be created, something that you need to understand is that Ein Sof is this vessel. Okay, this is considered Ein Sof right here. Ein Sof. Also, we're gonna know that vessel with another name. After the restriction, it becomes Adam Kadmon, the Olam Adam Kadmon. Olam means world, Adam is Adam, and Kadmon is primordial. So the world of the primordial man, Olam Adam Kadmon, where we're gonna concentrate on the restriction and Tzimtzum Aleph first. So I'm gonna read a little bit from the Tree of Life, and so you guys can have a reference where all these ideas started developing in modern Kabbalah, and it was in the times that the Arizal was living, and his one of his disciples, Chaim Vital, he basically wrote a book called Etz Chaim, the Tree of Life, and he wrote in that book all the teachings that the Arizal was giving his disciples, and he put those teachings into different, I would say, writings that are called gates. So in this case, we're gonna find this. What I'm gonna be reading is gonna be found on the portion that is called the Palace of Adam Kadmon. Okay, the Palace of Adam Kadmon, and we're gonna read. Before the Tzimtzum, Ein Sof filled the whole reality. So this whole thing was just light. The Ein Sof was light. Everything was receiving all the light. Remember that it was receiving all the light. It was so it says, know that before the Netzalim, that means those things that were supposed to be created, were emanated, and the creatures created an upper simple or simple light had filled the entire reality. There was no vacant space or place, such as an empty avir or air, and a halal, vacant space, but everything was filled with that simple, boundless or. So there was no restriction, there was nothing. It was just pure light and simple light. So, or pashut, as they call it, simple light. It did not have a Behinah Rosh or Sof, but it was all one, simple or, completely even, called all Ein Sof. Alright, so basically what he's saying is that all this was basically just this. Pure light, receiving all light. All these things that we're going to study later didn't exist yet. There was nothing at all yet. That came later when this point in the middle, the first restriction, started appearing. Okay. So then it says that when he rose upon his simple ratzon, desire to create the olamot, which is the worlds, and emanate the creatures to bring the perfection of his deeds, his name and appellations to light, which was the reason of the creation of the olamot. So basically, is the Arizal here, or Chaim Vital, explaining the Arizal's teaching, saying that what he wanted was basically to create the Netzalim, and the words and everything, simply because the reason for creation was to reveal his names and appellation. And it says Ein Sof then restricted itself in his middle point, in the very middle, restricted that light, and drifted to the sides around that middle point. So it's basically, there was a little restriction and an expansion of that void in the middle. Then he tells us that then there was a vacant place, a vir, on an empty halal. Halal means space, vacuum, from the very middle point. Behold, this tzimtzum was even around the empty middle point, in such a way that the place of the halal was a goal. Basically, that halal, that vacuum, was even. Wasn't square, wasn't a triangle, no, that kind of stuff. It was even. So that's why they use the symbol of a circle, right? And had no shape or of a merubah, which is a square, a perpendicular angle. For Ein Sof too had restricted himself like an igul, like a circle, even on all sides, like I just mentioned. The reason was that since Ein Sof was completely even, it had to have restricted itself evenly on all sides, and not restrict itself on one side more than on the others. It is known in the wisdom of geometry that there's none so even image as the image of the igul. However, this is not the case with the merubah, which is a square, with a bulging perpendicular angle, the meshulash, which is a triangle, and all the other images. For that reason, the tzimtzum had to have the form of a igul, form of a circle. So everything was equal in there. Then he says that after that tzimtzum, there remained a place of halal, a vacuum, a vacant space in the middle, and empty avir, which is like an empty wind in the middle of the Ein Sof. Then one kaf yashar, which is a direct line. A kaf is line, yashar means straight line. Kaf yashar is extended from Ein Sof, from his agol, which is the circular lights of Ein Sof, from above downward, and hung down into the halar. So that light from the circular lights of Ein Sof, a beam of light, if for lack of better way to describe it, a beam of light basically pierced through there, it pierced through and went directly to that empty space that was created by the first restriction. Okay, and then he mentions, that the upper rush of the kaf, which is the head of the straight line, extended from Ein Sof himself and touch it. Although the siyum of the kaf, which is the very end of the kaf, this is the head, and here we have the siyum, which is the end of the kaf, of the line, down its end, does not touch Ein Sof. Okay, so this is Ein Sof, and as it goes down, it doesn't touch Ein Sof. Let me see if I can put this a little bit bigger so you can have a bigger idea. All right. So what we are explaining basically is that this is our Ein Sof. This is the line that went down to the very middle where that restriction happened. And as you can see, the Rosh, which is the head, touches the Ein Sof. But the Siyum, which is the end of the light, doesn't touch the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof is out here. This is in the very middle. And that's what basically is explaining there. And he says prior to the Olamot, the Ein Sof was, he is one and his name is one, which we mentioned in the first lesson and in the beginning of this lesson. Always think that even though this thing looks divided, there's no one else beside him. Everything is one. And this is also in the Shema. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. You know, because we need to keep always that in mind, that all these things that we're studying, all these things that we're practicing are basically one. We just study it in its depth, so we see it, you know, like different parts in order for our human mind to understand it. So he says that the Ein Sof was, he is one and his name is one, his wondrous and concealed unity. Not even the angels that are close to him have the might and the attainment of Ein Sof. For there is not a created mind that can attain him, for he has no place, no boundary, no name. So from Adam Kadmon, which is the creature that is created, everything above that, you know, everything before that calf, which is Adam Kadmon, everything is one. Nothing is divided. Nothing can be seen as left and right. Okay, everything is one. Okay, so that's the first thing about the restriction, that we need to understand what the restriction is all about. Inside this restriction, as this light was going in, what we're gonna find is the following. We're gonna find that as the light went down all the way to the middle, it created certain levels of I would say of degrees of spirituality. And as he was going through it, it created Keter, the level of Chokmah, the level of Bina, the level of Chesed, Geburah, Tifaret, Nesach, Hod, Yesod, and the very middle where the Halal is Malchut. Okay, so we had 10 stages, 10 degrees, and these 10 degrees, if you guys remember what we study in the first lesson, we have the following. This here, it's the first stage. Let me change the color so we can see this. This is the first stage. We're gonna see stage 2 in Chokmah, stage 3, and then what we're gonna see is that from Chesed all the way to Yesod, that's stage 4, and then Malchut, which is stage 5. So here you have the 5 stages that we mentioned here in this part here. So you're gonna have these appearing over and over, because like I said, Kabbalah is like a fractal. Kabbalah is, it shows that creation is like a fractal. Everything in a tiny molecule, you will find the whole, and that's the reason, we teach that you need to understand that everything is one. Okay, so you're gonna find those 5 stages in there. When these 5 stages are created, we need to understand that they also represent certain aspects, and those aspects, I'll put them here, are the following. When we talk about that stage Dalit in this diagram, the stage Dalit did a restriction, and from that restriction it created a world, or a different system called Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon start once again with 5 levels of creation. Remember, it's a fractal. So once again, we see that after this, we start over the whole game, basically. So Adam Kadmon will represent the point of the Yohevavhe. Atzilut will be the Yod, Briah the He, Yetzirah the Vav, and Asiyah the Vav, meaning Adam Kadmon will be Keter, Atzilut will be Chokmah, Briah will be Bina, Yetzirah will be Serampin, and Asiyah will be Malchut. And all of them represent also the desires. Adam Kadmon is the desire to give, right? So the restriction now is in order to become like the creator, right? Remember, that was something that the vessel wanted to do in the beginning. I want to restrict myself by not receiving light in order to be a giver. Well, that happened with the Masach. The only difference is that with the Masach, the vessel decided to receive a little in order to give back. And he created Adam Kadmon. And with Adam Kadmon, there's a light called Yechida. It's a light of union, where everything is one. Remember, after Adam Kadmon, everything is one. So that's what light is called, Yechida. Then in Chokmah, the level of Chokmah within Adam Kadmon, because now we're talking about this system has all these systems inside. Within Adam Kadmon, in the level of Atzilut, which is Chokmah, we have Chaya. And Chaya is basically life. Life, translated as life. Then on the level of Bina, which is a very important level together with Chokmah when it comes to creation as a whole, the interaction between these two desires of receiving and trying to give and all that kind of stuff, it's the level of Neshama. Neshama is it's like wind. And Seramping, just as the letter Vav is a 6. It has 6. I would say 6 midots. It's 6 spheres within it, and that is the level of Ruach. And that level of Ruach is the one that we need to correct in order to connect the Nefesh, which is our Malchut, to Neshama. And if you study the high holidays from a Kabbalistic point of view, you will see this whole process, what it is all about, and in how this whole 6,000 years that we're talking about when we talk about Serampin, and also the book of Genesis, which is a primer for the 6,000 years of correction. We will understand why there's 6 days of creation, a 7th day in which the Creator rested, that we're supposed to rest as well. Okay, it's Malchut right here. So keep this in mind, make note of this, because when we talk about or Chokmah is or Chaya. or Hasidim, which is light of mercy, is the light of Bina, which is or Neshama. When we talk about Serampin, we're talking about the Ruach, the light of Ruach. And when we're talking about Malchut, we're talking about the light of Nefesh. And of course, Yechida, which is something, the union, something that we need to achieve as a whole. And so keep that in mind. Before I go to the parts of the vessel and how everything is filled, I want to cover, how each partsuf, each world actually, is filled with the light. So as the light goes down, what you're gonna see is the following. You're gonna see that the first light to go in, as what is called the filling of the cleave by 5 sivugim, by 5 couplings. It's what you're gonna see is the light hits. Remember, there's a masach, a screen. It hits the masach, and the first light to get in is the light of nefesh. Then after that is the light of ruach, and then nefesh goes to chokmah, and then after that neshama, and then ruach goes to chokmah, and nefesh goes to bina. And then as the light continues going down, you're gonna see chaya getting into keter, neshama going to chokmah, ruach going to bina, and nefesh going to serampin. Then when the whole vessel is filled, you're gonna find all the lights, Yechidah, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, in their place where they're supposed to be. That means that the vessel is filled properly. But like I mentioned, Kabbalah teaches that the creation is like a fractal. You're gonna find Yechidah. If you take Nefesh only, we take just a Nefesh, that there's a Nefesh, the Nefesh. There's a Ruach, the Nefesh. There's a Neshama, the Nefesh. A Chaya, the Nefesh. And a Yechida, the Nefesh. So the same thing that you see here is happening inside each of these levels. So that's the way it is. So something for you to visualize how this is happening is the following. So imagine that the lights are coming down, right? So the first light that will be received as the sivuk is happening, as the light is received into that masach, that screen, is gonna be the light of nefesh, all right? And if you go back, what is nefesh? It's malchut, right? It's malchut. So keep that in mind, malchut. So then after that, the light continues doing another sivug, light of ruach comes in. So that means, serampin, malchut, they're already in, and they're at the level of Adam Kadmon and Atzilut, right? As the light continues going in, then the neshama comes in, and is found in Adam Kadmon, right? Ruach in Atzilut and nefesh in bria. And then as the light goes in, you're gonna find chaya in Adam Kadmon, neshama in Atzilut, ruach in bria, nefesh in Yetzirah. As the light goes in, Yechida is in Adam Kadmon, Chaya it's on Atzilut, Neshama in Bria, Ruach in Yetzirah, and Nefesh in Asiyah. So this is the same concept as here. You just what we have here is are the basically the Sefirot, the vessels, as Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Serampin, and Malchut. And over here, what we have is Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Serampin, and Malchut, but represented by the worlds. Okay, so it's the same thing, and it's called the opposite relationship with from the vessel of the light, because you might think that if I'm working for spirituality, that the first light that should be in here, right? The first light that we should have here should be Yechida, right? But no, the first light that we have is the lowest and simple light called Nefesh. And then after that, what we have is basically the lights just appearing, like a ladder, coming down in a ladder until they fill the whole vessel with the whole light and its levels. So that's basically what was happening as the light was entering throughout all these levels. All right, and there's a lot of details on that. There's a book written by Baal HaSulam. It's called Talmud Eser Sefirot, in which he explained in details the Etz HaChaim from the Arizal, and he goes into detail explaining each of the concepts that the Arizal is trying to explain in his time, but Baal HaSulam is writing it in a very academic way for the modern people, so we can understand it better. And he's the reason why Kabbalah actually is out there at this moment, because he was able to translate that into a language that now everybody can understand and find it easier and less mystical and conflictive with certain ways of life. Now everyone can study Kabbalah thanks to his works. All right, so let's study this new world called Olam Adam Kadmon, and we just covered a little bit. And the third lesson, we're going to go more in depth into the parts of Adam Kadmon, and also we're going to talk about the feelings inside, how the light feels each level, and then some parsuf are created after Adam Kadmon, like parsuf Av, Sag, Ma, and Bon, and these are very important because without them there wouldn't be any words of Abiyah, Atzilut, Briah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and or any of the parts of thing like Atika Kadisha, Arin Camping, and all the rest, like Avi, Avaveima, Serampin, Malchut, Nuba. Okay, so let's talk quickly about Adam Kadmon as an introduction for our next lesson. And basically, when the light came inside, what the light did was it created a system inside the vessel, and that system inside the vessel has similarities with the human body, and our human body is also a fractal of the whole. Like basically what we see in the human body is an embodiment of the whole as well. So that's why you're gonna see that we use names like Guf, body, Rosh, which is head, Doch, which is like the chest, and the Sof, which is the end, Siyum, Dabur, which is like in the waist, and things like that. And as we get more advanced in these intermediate classes, you're gonna hear words like Pe, which is mouth. You're gonna hear words like Enaim, which is eyes, Galgalta, which is skull, and things like that, that will help you understand which part of the parsuf is working. What I don't want you to think is that we're talking about a physical body, right? This is a way to use our physical body to understand the spiritual body of creation. So when the Or Yashar, the calf, the calf Yashar came down to the center of that halal, that vacuum that was created. Inside the vacuum, meaning the vessel, right? And as it was going down, it created a system. So that system is the following. It created the screen, which is a masach, and in there's an opening called Pe. Pe means mouth in Hebrew. And through that Pe, through that mouth, through that opening in the screen, it lets a percentage of the light in. That percentage of the light that goes in is known as or pinimi. The rest gets basically rejected, and that's or hoser, which is rejected light or reflected light. Or yashar is direct light, or hoser reflected light, or pinimi internal light. Okay, and as this light goes out, there's something happening here in the rush, right? As the light goes out, that is what gives basically back to the creator. Basically, it creates vessels of bestowal. In here we have reception of the light. In here we have bestowal from the vessel to the creator. The light that is rejected somehow, because the aim of creation is to fulfill the whole vessel with light, to fill it with light all the way to the Zion. But the vessel is going to do it little by little in order to make this happen. Restrictions, right? So in the light that is rejected wants to go in. This light is called or makif, surrounding light. And this light is going to put pressure in the vessel. The same thing as the light that goes in. So there's double pressure. The light that you have inside and the light around you. And before I go into details, because I'm running out of time here, I just want you to think and leave you with this thought. Think about that. Think about the things, about the internality of the things that you're learning and the externality of the things that are happening outside that have nothing to do with spirituality. Think about the things that you're learning, that you're letting into your vessel, because every one of us has a vessel, a spiritual vessel. Think about that. Meditate on the things that I'm letting in. Is that putting pressure on me? And also, that light that surrounds me, that manifests itself in the form of my environment, my peers, my co-workers, my family, they put pressure on me as well. What the Creator wants me to do? Because all this is given to me. The Creator wants to fulfill my vessel with light, right? But I'm having this spiritual suffering because I cannot fill my vessel with this light. I feel empty somehow. And this emptiness makes me suffer because I don't know how to receive. Therefore, Kabbalah means receiving. I don't know how to receive. I want to take. All my life I've been told to take, and it's yours. But Kabbalah tells me something different. Receive, because it's yours already. You don't have to take it. Receive it. But somehow I'm not receiving it. I'm somehow being restricted by my own egoistic nature, because I want it all with different intention. And remember, in the beginner's lesson, we mentioned that the masach is an intention. So I'm letting my intention work, do calculations in the rush which is ahead, in order to let that light in and illuminate me. But there's also pressure from the outside. Am I gonna let that pressure from the outside destroy what I'm working within me, or am I gonna use that as an advantage for me to advance? So meditate on that, because all these things have some practical applications in our lives, and I'm gonna give you little hints as how to think about the things that are happening in your life. So remember, you were taking everything from the Creator. You were that Behinat Dalit that we talk about. I want it all. You're taking all, right? You're not receiving everything. You're taking all at that moment. Then you decide, you know what? I need to stop. And you create a masach. And now you start receiving in order to please the Creator. You change the intention in order to please only yourself. I'm pleasing myself, but at the same time I'm pleasing the Creator, because I'm fulfilling the thought of creation by doing this this restriction in myself. Okay, so as this vessel has pressure for the internality of the light, right? The light that goes within itself, it also has this pressure of the Or Makif. And for those of you who study Torah, this is the light of correction, is Torah. The pressure of Torah. Torah is a system of laws in the universe that it doesn't matter what we do, it will eventually fulfill its purpose, which is fill the vessel with the light, which is what we talk here. As we receive, we will receive the light and fill the vessel with the whole light and achieve the Vekud adhesion with the Creator, and before that with each other. Alright, so I'll leave you with that thought. Think about it. Remember that these lessons are going to be posted on our website, www.receivingtheupperlight.com. Also, if you like this video and you are following us and all that, make sure you subscribe, like the video. When you subscribe, you get basically some alerts whenever we put a new video out there. And in our website, we're gonna start adding more content that we cannot put in YouTube because it's content for websites. So be in the lookout, because we're constantly we're doing a weekly update on that. And I hope you like it. I hope that you also give me some feedback. I've received some feedback from some of you about the classes. So far, it's been very positive. Even with me learning this new technology, for using all this stuff and making some mistakes here and there, you know, it's been really great and a good experience to interact with some of you and seeing that some of you really like the idea. Also, I have seen that there's an interest out there for already a few people asking to see if I can give these classes in Spanish. I'm looking into that. It takes a lot of work to do these type of classes, but I'm looking into that, so eventually we might have a bilingual group. Who knows? Alright, so anyway, I'll leave you there. I'll see you in the next lesson, lesson 3, where we're gonna cover then the world of Adam Kadmon. Okay, and I'll see you later. Lehitraot. Shalom.